There, Mazz? Murray? The latest Finn to crap his pants.
And that was a Finnish explosion in his pants in that third period. Holy crap, literally and figuratively.
So I don't think it's crazy to say that the Four Nations tournament thus far has been a wild success. I have enjoyed both games I've seen thus far. The Sweden versus Canada game was electric. The USA versus Finland game for the first two periods was just around the same level. Very, very good. And then the third, USA kind of blew open the game. But, overall, the ratings have been good. And it showcases that when the players care, it makes for a fantastic product on the ice. And I'll say this, I would take this Four Nations tourney over a mundane all-star game every day of the week. I know it couldn't happen every year, but it's just been absolutely fun to watch. Now, the Sports Hub 98.5, Felger and Mazz kind of made a video on this topic and about how they should expand and see, well, if they should expand. So let's just get right into it and see what they got to say here. Because, for me, when it comes to Felger and Mazz, it can be some good takes, and then there can be some basura takes. So let's see what they got here to say.
No mention there from Ferraro in the broadcast of what the story was there in that sequence. The story there, Mazz? Murray? The latest Finn to crap his pants.
Oh, my. Felger hates Tuukka Rask, it seems like. He just thought he performed, didn't get them the comp, and that Tuukka is not that good or whatever. Oh, man. Let's just let it rock.
UC Soros, did you see these goals?
I did, yeah. And the crazy thing was, I thought he was having a good night up until that third period. He had a great save on a breakaway from Noah Hannafin, and it was like, okay, it's going to be another tight game like the first one. And that was a Finnish explosion in his pants in that third period. Holy crap, literally and figuratively.
Okay, so my biggest problem with the whole Finland conversation when it comes to international hockey is, first off, the whole narrative that they choke or things of that nature, I think is a little bit silly. We have Stanley Cup champions that have come from Finland. And to say that Soros just choked away the game, yes, that third goal with Matthew Tkachuk scored, that's a rough one, but a lot of those goals were just grade A opportunities, and Soros did make some really good saves in the first and second period, even a couple in the third. Just to kind of say that it's just due to him choking it away, I think's a little bit ludicrous.
You know, Mazz, how you like to rag on Aussie golfers? Like, there's always a choke coming down the road for an Australian golfer.
Yep, great chokers in world history.
That's what I feel about Finnish hockey players. There's just something about it. They just don't know how to win. And it's like one pants crapping after the next. I was just sort of going through it, like, great Finnish hockey players of all time. Who do you think is considered the greatest Finnish hockey player of all time?
Teemu Selanne?
Very good.
Yeah, Selanne, yeah.
He's third. Yari Curry is number one.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
See, I have trouble knowing who's a Finn, who isn't. Like
A Swede, I know.
Yeah, right.
I know.
To me,
I
they're
know.
sort of all Scandinavian.
But
That's
Curry-
a terrible thing to say in some ways, but I can't keep it straight.
Curry was good.
All right, so, and I'm going to kind of pull this up because I'm going to have to. I kind of want to showcase, like, this is Finland's population, right? This is their population, 5.584 million people, which sounds like a lot, but it's a smaller country. It's really not. In comparison, Canada's at 40 million. And with Canada, this is their blood sport. They would sell their firstborn son to have a Stanley Cup come home to the great country of Canada. Or as some Americans are now saying, the 51st state. I'm joking, Canadians, relax. But 40 million. And then when you kind of go to the U.S. population, I think that's kind of very apparent. Over 300 million people. It's not necessarily America's like bread and butter when it comes to sports, but the reason why we're able to field such a competitive team is because, heck, like, there's just a lot of freaking people in the United States of America. So I just kind of want to show the population difference there. And considering how much smaller of a country they are in comparison to the other elite teams, in this tournament. I just feel like I'd have to kind of mention that because for whatever reason, we kind of like to all put them into this one basket. I mean, even with Sweden, Sweden is twice the size of Finland, right? So they have a lot more chances, a lot more people developing. You hopefully hit on that. So this whole narrative about Finland being choke artists, I mean, I think it's actually impressive how they're able to be so competitive on the international field when, in all honesty, they're a smaller country. Personally, I don't know.
Good on those Edmonton teams.
He was. I tend to think he was playing with some.
Well, right. Yeah, I mean.
Like, I don't know. Okay, so Yari Curry, he won. He did. Mikko Rantanen just won, right? He's with the Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay, he's the second. Teemu Selänne's third. Sasha Barkov, who I love, is fourth, and I do think he's a winner, except he's kind of a fake Finn, isn't he?
Yeah.
Russian, and he got to pick one or the other?
Yeah, I feel like.
No, you're incorrect. You're incorrect. Barkov is considered to be from Finland, although he has dual Finnish and Russian citizenship due to his Russian parents. So, Barkov was born in Tampere, Finland, to the parents of Russian descent. I mean, I if we're gonna create false narratives, at least kind of fact check that a little bit. Just a wee bit there. I mean, no, he's not Russian. He's Finnish. Nothing against Russian. Nothing against Russia. I'm just saying, like, if you're gonna say this shit, make sure you know what you're talking about.
Like that comes with an asterisk. You're right about that.
I thought Barkov had dual citizenship and was able to sort of pick, and because Russia isn't fielding a team, he's going Finnish, or he's played with Finland in the past, but he had a choice. I don't know.
I gotta look that up. That sounds fake.
Either way,
Fake Finn.
Either way, you're rattling off names. I have yet to hear a goalie.
Okay, so like the goalies are all pants crappers.
Yes, they are.
Tuukka Rask, obviously. Who is the other one on this list? Good goalie.
Go live in Finland.
Antti Niemi. So he won. I think he won one in Chicago, if I'm not mistaken. But again, did they win because of Antti Niemi, or did they win
the rest
because
of that
of
roster was loaded?
Kane, Taves, Seabrook, Duncan Keith, etc.?
Okay, so and this is actually kind of frustrating for me to listen to. So, on one hand, they're going to insult Tuukka Rask, who I've had some problems with somehow he's played certain playoff runs, but there's been other playoff runs where he's taken the Bruins deep and the team around him has failed. Let's make that very clear. So, if they win, like with Antti Niemi, who is nowhere near the same caliber of Tuukka Rask when it comes to goaltender, if they win, it doesn't matter because they get carried. If Tuukka Rask carries a team in the playoffs, but they don't win because of his team and not him, you still blame him. So does it matter or does it not matter if they win a Stanley Cup? Because whether you like it or not, Tuukka Rask is a Hall of Fame goaltender. Look at his statistics. He is one of the best to lace them up. You know, is he a top 5 goalie of all time? No, I'm not saying that. But Tuukka Rask had a Hall of Fame level career. Let's just stop pretending like this guy was absolute garbage. And that's what I just hate about local Boston media, because he didn't win a cup and Tim Thomas won him a cup. It's not easy to win a Stanley Cup. It's not. It takes a whole team effort. Bruins had a very good window. Maybe there were some times he came up short, but there was other times where Rask was unbelievable in the playoffs and the team around him let him down. Just saying.
Like that team. And Marian Hossa, don't tell me he was Finnish. I don't know. It's just whether it stands up
Go
or not.
live in Canada.
The stereotype in my mind, when I see a Finn out there, it's like, he's going to lose. I just started to pick at this a little bit because I'm interested in it. They've only won one gold medal in the history of the Olympics. You know, the Finland's like one of the biggest hockey playing countries in the world.
Right.
They've only won one gold medal, and it was the last one. It was COVID. It was the COVID year when no one played. So, of course, that's when the Finns snuck it in. Otherwise, it's like one pants crapping after the next.
Okay, so just because I have to here, because it's getting a little ridiculous here. The disrespect to Finnish hockey, right? I get it. You might not necessarily care for like one of their players or whatever the hell you want to say. I don't know, man. It's getting a little, in my opinion, a little ridiculous here with this conversation, but I really shouldn't expect that. So, number one all time for scorers from Finland, Timo Solani, who was an absolute stud, amazing player, 1,457 points. Then you have Yanni Curry, great player. Then you have Saku Koivu, who was also such a good player. Such a good player there, man. I loved Koivu, even though he played for a rival. He was great. Barkov will be a Hall of Fame player if he kind of keeps on the same trajectory. And I don't know why ads are popping up now. I hate my life. But, you have some bona fide Hall of Famers on this list. And for a country of a smaller size, I mean, Rantanen, he's struggling now, but he's had a really great career. Sebastian Aho, Michael Granlund, some really good players. I mean, and as for goaltending, right? Pekka Rinne, great goaltender for a very long time. I mean, I know that urinating tree meme is like he's just too good right now. Mika Kiprusoff, the guy I've made a video on this channel, I consider him a Hall of Fame level goaltender.
First, but he's let his own dental care take a back seat.
I don't care about your dental care. Tuukka Rask, Nicholas Backstrom when he was healthy. UC Saros, great goaltender. Kind of going down the list. I mean, they have some really good goaltenders, some really good names on this. And just to kind of poo-poo it like, oh, all Finnish people choke and all that things. It's not just the goaltender. It's not just one individual players. Like, you win a Stanley Cup by the team around him. So, at the same note, right, Barkov would have had this same label if the Florida Panthers didn't win a cup. I mean, does that make Barkov less of a player if he doesn't win a cup? I mean, yes, it changes his legacy, but...
UC Saros. This is why we're saying UC Saros is the goalie there in Finland. And boy, did he crap his pants. That was as bad of a 10 minutes of goaltending as I've seen since Malcolm Subban made his Bruins debut. You remember that?
Of course, and that was a disaster.
Wow, was that bad? So it's hard for me to gauge just how good the U.S. looked because I think there was the 2-1, and Jim's right. Saros didn't fall apart until the third period. So 6-1 was on Saros. The U.S. was up 2-1 really through the run of play. I watch them and then I watch Canada and I feel like the U.S. is way undergunned, but I love the way the U.S. is playing. I mean, can't you just feel the imprint of the Tkachuk brothers out there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just like that pest factor, for lack of a better term.
No, really, I mean, I was about to say, was it really the U.S. or was it the Tkachuk brothers basically beating up Finland?
Yeah, right.
Kind of. Like, it's the Tkachuks look at it and said, there's a bunch of Finns out here. No problem. But either way, these games have been good, Murray, right?
Oh, incredible. That first one, I was like pants off for. Because, the question was, are they going to care? I mean, they constructed this thing. The players helped construct the thing, but you don't know. And it does. I was like, is it still going to maybe feel like an all-star game? And it's been anything but. Now, it's not like there's...
I mean, that is fair. I think that was kind of a concern I had going into this is like, will it be good, right? Will it just be something they phone in, or will it actually be good? That was a genuine concern because it's only 8-day tournament, and considering that these guys have NHL livelihoods on the line and like their teams are in various different playoff spots, I mean, that was a concern. But I mean, thus far we have gotten an extremely good product. I've been
smashing into each
pleasantly
other.
Surprised.
But you are seeing some light hits, and there's penalties. The speed of the game feels faster because you have so much talent out there. I think it's been incredible. And by the way, I don't know if you saw this. The numbers have kind of backed it up. The first game drew over 1 million viewers in the USA.
So I think it's a win. I overall I am pleasantly pleased. I don't want to say surprised. I didn't know what to expect, but the level of play, Jim, you're right. It's more physical than I thought it would be. The overall give a crap meter is as good as I could have expected it. And the star power is great. And so when you put guys out there who give a crap and that level of talent, it's good. And then I'm sort of a sucker for all the nationality and the theatrics and the anthems and all that stuff. They sing it before and after the game, right? Don't they do the anthem for the winning side? Like, that's sort of like, I'm sort of a sucker for all that sort of crap. So I'm in. I'm in. Yeah, and I think it's important, like you said, that this is something that the players were partners in. So the players wanted it. You know, if you want this, then you gotta deliver. And I feel like they've delivered. And I think we're gonna have a good tournament here, just based off those first two games. Could have used more countries. I don't know why they couldn't field a Russian team. I mean, is it politics? Don't give me that.
It is. From my understanding, is the International Hockey Federation, which has a hand in this because, again, it's the nations involved, and it's very much like the Olympic tournament, that they said they can't be involved because of the political climate. But ideally, it would be 6 nations, and it's them in like Slovenia or something like.
Slovenia, no, I wouldn't go with Slovenia. I'd go with probably the Czech Republic if you're going to add another team. As for Russia not being in it, I've kind of covered it multiple times on this channel. Yeah, I think it's a little foolish. I mean, considering that you have countries in the tournament that, go around still being in conflicts and they're still allowed to participate on the international stage. So, while you might not love what's going on in Russia, I know for a fact I'm not for war or people losing their life. Life is too short and too precious, in my personal opinion. That's just kind of how I was raised. At the same token, you shouldn't punish players for the acts of their government. And because if we get into this whole back and forth with that, I mean, shit, what country could you really involve in these type of tournaments? I mean, everybody would be pretty much outbarred.
Well,
I would say 8 nations. Get the Czechs in there.
Yes. So, I mean, when you get to 8, as we've seen in the Olympics, it gets really scratchy. You're Germany and Norway and countries like that, which really can't field a team against these other. But, 6, then you give me 6. So I don't think it would take much to really, just really 2 more teams. And the U.S.-Russia, I think, is just an important game historically. And I do miss that part of it. I had one other nit to pick, and everyone disagrees with me on this. The overtime format it's a 10-minute 3-on-3 as opposed to a 5-minute 3-on-3.
Yeah.
And I heard Bissonnette and the TNT guys the other day going off on how great this is. It should be like this. I'm one of the few guys that likes the current NHL format as it is. I like the 5-minute 3-on-3. I like the shootout. I think sometimes, not always, but sometimes the 3-on-3 is kind of a bore. There are teams that will keep circling back out of the zone. They'll play for possession. They'll have possession in the offensive zone, and then they'll circle back to the neutral zone and come out and swap out a player, and it gets a little laborious. When it's up and down the ice and odd man rushes and all of that, it's great. Like, obviously. A lot of teams don't play it that way.
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of teams are going to kind of play that puck possession mode because that's how you're going to win. You're going to kind of capitalize on, hey, let's maintain possession, get our guys out there with some fresh legs, kind of get some guys on breaks with some speed. Some teams are really good in the 3v3 situations. Some kind of struggle with it. I think the Bruins kind of one of those teams that can struggle with puck possession at time because I think they lack a little bit of that higher end speed. That being said, as for the format altogether, personally, I'm actually probably rarer than him. I don't really even like the 3-on-3. I preferred the 4-on-4 when they used to do it in that sense. And I understand the shootout during regular season. You kind of want to get people in and out. But I think 4-on-4 is a little bit more like regular hockey, but it kind of still opens up the space a bit more. And it kind of stops that whole ragging thing altogether. It's just, that is kind of a problem I have with the 3-on-3 because it can get a little bit boring to watch. And that's something I would definitely agree with Felger on that, in my opinion.
Teams sort of take the air out of the ball, if you know what I mean, in that 3-on-3. And I think if you have 10 minutes... The reason it gets to 10 minutes is because there's probably a team taking an air out of the ball. So, no, I'm not into the 10-minute 3-on-3. I don't know if you guys had a thought on that.
I liked it.
I know.
Well, it was just because you didn't see that. And I get it. Sometimes it is like cycling around and it feels like it's too open, but it wasn't that for that first game. It felt like, could also make a case like why you might want that after watching that.
I mean, I do like the shorter one. I know they probably want to just make sure the game is decided there, so they extended it. But I like the tighter one because there's more urgency.
Yes, exactly.
You got 5 minutes. Let's go. You got
less is more. Less is more.
Like, again, there's a deadline. So move.
So, what was I just going to say? Oh, last point. If you're a hockey guy, it's like kind of porn.
Oh.
That Canada team you just mentioned, that first Canadian power play the other night. were
it's
Makar, McDavid, McKinnon, Crosby. And Crosby's like blind behind his back. It's like,
Yeah, no, that was a sick
if
goal.
you're a real hockey guy, that is pants off kind of stuff.
That first goal was like a holy crap moment.
That was
Yeah,
awesome.
Yeah. It didn't feel all-starry either. There was nothing fluky about it. It was just, again, the precision you see with the best players in the game. And it was just like, holy crap, Jesus, that was nuts.
So this is what basketball should be doing.
Yeah.
And I think it would work because I've gotten the sense that the U.S. basketball players do give a crap. I said.
So I'll kind of wrap it up on that. As for basketball, I don't think it would work because, the USA basketball is just so much better than pretty much all the other teams. But kind of showcasing, the impressive let me go with Canada first, actually, here. Canadian roster here. I think their goaltending is going to be the weak spot here in the tournament. I don't think the goaltenders, I think U.S. hasn't beat there. But then you go defensemen, you got Makar, Morrissey, Parayko, Pietrangelo, Sanheim, Theodore. Theodore, he's dinged up now, obviously. He's going to miss the tournament. Devin Taves. Sam Bennett, Cirelli, Crosby, Hagel, Jarvis, Konecki, McKinnon, Marchand, Marner, McDavid, Point, Reinhart, and Stone. With Crosby, McKinnon, and with Crosby, McKinnon, and McDavid on any team, and that's your forward core, is absolutely friggin' insane. It's a wealth of riches up front. Nobody's going to be able to compete offensively. Well, I wouldn't say compete, but it's definitely a heavy favorite there for the Canadians up front. When you have the two best players in the world on one team up for forwards, that's friggin' crazy. But then when you look at the USA roster, they definitely have the edge in net. You have Hellebuck is the 1, Ottinger's the 2, Swayman is the 3. Defense, you got Brock Faber, great young defenseman. Adam Fox, I'm kind of iffy on his defense. Hannafin, Hughes, McAvoy, Slavin, Werenski. Great defense here for the USA team. And then offensively, they're no slouches. You got Boldy, Connor, Eichel, Getzel, Jack Hughes. Chris Kratter's kind of an interesting one, but I understand why. Dylan Larkin, Matthews, Miller, Nelson, the Kachuk brothers, and Trocheck. The Kachuk brothers, you saw their impact. They're little agitators, but they still have a lot of skill. Miller's an all-star. Austin Matthews is a superstar level sniper. The Hughes brothers, let's just kind of call it as Jack Hughes is just phenomenal. And then Quinn Hughes on the back end is great. Getzel's a great sniper. Jack Eichel's having a career year. Offensively, the USA can keep up with Canada scoring-wise. So that's what I'm excited for on Saturday. That's going to be a great game, and it'd be kind of dope if it goes to overtime. I think these are two of the best teams in the world, obviously. The two best teams in this tournament. And it should make things very exciting. But kind of closing point on regarding the, I guess I'll just title this as Finnish players or chokers, I guess. I think that's just such a dumb standpoint to have, considering how good Finland is. Just with their small population, they have less people to pull from. And considering they are a smaller country, they produce some of the best players in the world. Barkov is one of the best two-way centers in the world. Let's not just act like Team Finland has a bunch of scrubs on it. UC Soros, sure, maybe had a couple rough goals, but he made some big stops in this game, and he's been one of the better goalies in the NHL for quite a long time, and considering his smaller stature, it's been impressive what he's been able to do. This whole idea that, certain guys didn't win a cup, so everybody from that country is a choker is just absolutely fucking silly. But I'd like to know your thoughts down below in the comment section. What did you think of these games? What do you think about Finland? Do you believe Finland's just a country full of chokers? I guess let me know your perspective on that down below in the comment section. I'm Captain Paul. I'll see you in the next one.